Hi, this is Matt Gifford of Hawk Hill Hardwood, and I had the chance to sit down with St. Joe's head coach Phil Martelli. This is part 2 of our interview. So kind of talking about roster construction, we talked about this current year, and the interesting thing is talking 2 years out, typically we can't talk about that because it's from a recruiting standpoint. This is different because you have a transfer, and that transfer is Ryan Daly from Delaware, and he's a name that's familiar to a lot of people, and a lot of people saw him play at Archbishop Carroll and then at Delaware. My question for you, Phil, is for someone like me even, who said, I watched Ryan a lot at Carroll and I watched him a lot for the Jersey Shore Warriors. What is different about Ryan today? Because I'm not even going to give other school names out, but all those lists were out of the schools that contacted Ryan. None of those were schools that contacted him the first time around. So what happened? Like, what happened in his game and his approach to the game that made him a 1,000-point scorer at Delaware, that made him and the CAA is a good league. He scored a lot of points in a good league.
That's what it is, Matt. There's a notch now on his belt.
Okay.
There's a notch on his belt that says 1,000 points, that says second team All CAA, that said Rookie of the Year. And it's interesting because when I've discussed this with Ryan, and I've talked it with his dad, who was a Hawk and college coach and those kind of things, he's not going to get those numbers here. He can't get those numbers because he had multiple opportunities. Now, they also, and I believe this, if you study every basket, which we did, and you look at how he got those baskets, and you also pull out games, 31 against Richmond.
Yeah, I looked through his stats against A10 teams.
Yeah, I don't have anybody on my roster, and I have a good roster.
Right.
I don't have anybody on my roster that had 31 at Richmond.
Right.
So there's something there. His free throw percentages are low for a guy that can score.
Yes.
And his point would be, I got tired. I got tired. His shooting percentages are lower than you would think. But he also had the ball at the end of every shot clock.
Right.
So I'm expecting that his shooting percentages will go up. And you have a guy that has put the ball in the basket at the collegiate level. And again,
the CAA is a good league too. There's a lot of transfer ups where they're coming from lower than the CAA and going to A10 or higher than A10 too.
And Matt, the other thing is, a lot of credit goes to Ryan and his family, because when I met with them, I said, this will not be a social media thing. We're not going to announce visits. We're not.
Okay.
You're going to come here, and the answer is either going to be yes, this is what you want, or no, it isn't. And then if it's no, it isn't, then go do your thing. Nothing.
Yeah, his visit was what, like a Friday, Saturday,
Right,
and there was an announcement on Sunday.
Right. So there was, really no over involvement. But he looked at the roster. So when he's eligible, Fresh is still here, and Jared is still here, and Charlie Brown is still here, and Nick Robinson is still here.
Right.
So you have to be cut from a certain cloth for me to say to you, you are coming in.
You're talking multiple like all-league caliber guys in that group of players too.
Yes,
right.
Yes, and with a lot of experience. Think about it, the number of
Fresh
minutes.
will be a fifth-year senior.
Right, the number of minutes Fresh, Charlie, Nick will have all played. And Jared is playing, like he's in the rotation next year. So, and I'm clear with Ryan or anybody else in that situation to say, so really basically recruiting, Chris Clover's replacement is going to be in our gym for a year.
Yes.
Which is a plus for us.
Watching tape and studying and everything.
And here's how we do things.
Okay. So Phil, my final question shifts gear. We talked schedule, we talked AD, a little bit about injuries and Ryan. The final piece, just I know you've been busy over the last couple of weeks in Washington, D.C., and involved with the changes in college basketball. And this is something that's talked about ad nauseum, but I feel like not with a lot of specific details. Just every article that I read basically is like changes need to happen, and then they line out 15 different ideas. the question that I was given is, if you were in charge and there were one or two things that you could do, just not a 15 bullet point thing of how to improve the game of college basketball or make it better or cleaner or whatever it is, if there was just one or two rather simple, rather non-controversial things that you could do, what would you do?
Wow.
And I know that the reason these articles have 15 things is because there are a lot of things.
First of all, the commission that came out, and that was about a 60-page document. The commission made recommendations. Those recommendations are now being put into legislative form. And I do serve on the non-scholastic portion of that commission report. What the commission put forward is going to happen.
Oh, really?
Okay, it is. It's not. It's not.
A maybe type
discuss
of thing?
it. It's going to happen.
Okay.
So when somebody say, "Yeah, but one and done is not your world; it's the NBA's world." Yeah, but that commission was full of really smart people, including Condoleezza Rice. Behind the scenes, they already did the none and done now.
Okay.
The none and done. Now, it may not be. They may not be able to put it in until 2020 or 2021.
But it's happening.
But that's happening.
Okay. And for people that say that doesn't, because I mean, you don't have one and done players here,
No,
but there's an effect to that though.
There's
Even at your
absolutely.
level, to say that one and done doesn't affect you, it absolutely affects you.
Matt, when coaches would approach me, and they would say, "Well, it doesn't impact me. Why am I being bothered with it?" Well, let's say that it's 5 to 8 kids, and those kids are ranked 1 through 10 in the country. Well, then 10 through 20 move up.
And they're now going to Kentucky and Duke
and 20 to 40 move. Everybody moves up. So
yeah.
of course you are impacted by it.
Right.
And it may be in a really subtle way, but let's take a guy like DeAndre Bembry. DeAndre Bembry was good enough to leave school early and be drafted. But he might not have been at St. Joseph's if
he got bumped up.
other guys in his class had moved on. So that is an impact. When I think of the things that they put out, and I'll call them lower hanging fruit,
Okay.
things that'll definitely happen. They're going to change the skill instruction from 4 hours a week to 8 hours a week. Good, bad, indifferent. I don't know any coach that's going to work 8 hours with his players in the summer,
July.
but that's young players. Young up-and-coming guys in the business who are basketball operations, who are video coordinators, who are grad assistants at bigger schools. 2 of them being allowed to go on the court and instruct with your
supervision,
with your current coaches.
Okay.
That's going to happen. That's a
So all of a sudden, your director of basketball operations is able to go out there during a practice.
Right. Okay. Or we have guys, Matt, who love to get extra shots up. So Charlie Brown wants to come in at 10 o'clock at night, and Philip's in that job. Phil Martelli Jr. is in that job. Yeah. Okay, Phil. That's you. You're with him.
Yeah.
You're with him. So that's those are the easy ones.
Okay.
Bringing the high school coach more prominently back into recruiting would be one of mine.
Okay.
Do I think that's going to happen? The way the commission wrote it, 2 weekends in June, they expect the college coaches to be in high school gyms. Is that an open gym? Is that a team camp?
Because high schools don't do that now, do they? They don't. They have the open gyms typically in the fall.
Right,
But
they don't have anything in June. So school has ended for Matt Gifford, and you know what? Colgate, Penn, St. Francis, PA, Marist want to see you. Okay, 2 weekends in June, they're going to be able to see you.
But not in Atlanta or Houston or wherever. But it's going to be at your
Yeah,
high
we're
school.
not in. We're not. They will not add to it. But the scholastic coach is back in. So our friend Mike Doyle at Pencrest, he now runs a team camp of 54 teams.
Okay.
Next June, I would anticipate that we'll be able to go there. Because
Really? That'll be a live
live
for you.
period.
Okay.
But I'm also going to expand on that. Somebody out there who's really engaged and as a high school coach, he might put together, you know what I'm going to put on for you? Top 250 players in Pennsylvania are going to be at Spooky Nook. It's going to be run by Mike Doyle, Pencrest High School. I'm going to be there. We're allowed to be there.
Okay.
I see that as, I think that's a...
but that wouldn't be like an AAU team thing.
Nope.
It would be an
representing
invite,
their high school.
Representing their high schools. Okay.
Representing
and that's significantly different from what's happening now.
Right. I believe that the kid who does not get drafted, coming back, I think that would be a plus.
Being allowed to come back.
Right.
Okay.
But if I had a magic wand, here's how I would do this. You're a high school kid. You put your name in. They have 30 people sitting around representing each franchise in the NBA. Your name comes up. How many think Matt will be a first-round pick? 18 to 12. Okay? What else can we tell Matt? Of you 18, how many think he's a top 20 pick? 7. Okay? Now they send you a thing and say, Matt, you should keep your name in the draft because we feel you're going to be selected in the first round.
Okay.
Phil puts his name in. How many feel Phil will be drafted in the first round? Nobody puts their hand up. How many feel he'll be drafted in the second round? Nobody puts their hand up.
Yeah, that's the feedback.
Will he be undrafted? They raise their hand. They then send that to me, and I am now not draft eligible.
Oh, so it wouldn't even be up to the kid at that point. It would be you can't.
You're
do
not
it.
draft eligible.
Got it.
Now, well, I'm going to go to Europe. Okay, go, but
NBA draft, you're not.
right, yeah, don't be chasing this dream. I then carry that over, Matt, to the combine. So there's 68 spots or 64 spots at the combine. The way you get invited to the combine is 30 teams vote. So why did DeAndre get invited as a junior? Because the teams voted, we want to see him. Why did the young men from Villanova get invited? Because they voted, we want to see him.
Okay.
Okay? Now, in my world, I forget the number. Somebody told me in the past couple days that it was 212 kids put their name in. Every kid that averages double figures ends up putting their name in. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but the young man from Dayton, whose brother is the Greek Freak, he put his name in. He averaged 3 or 4 points a game in our league and was not a starter.
Right.
But the league voted to see him. If you're not invited to the combine and you're an underclassman, you're not draft eligible.
Okay.
Because players now lean on, and I read all these articles, I'm working out for this team, I'm working out for that team, I'm working out for that team. Well, I would like an NBA historian on the draft to tell me how many guys got drafted based on workouts. And I tell you, that's a thimble.
Okay.
It's a thimble. So why not? So if I had a magic wand, I would let them go out of high school, but it would be on the advisement of the NBA. You're going to be picked 1 through 15, 15 through 30, or you're not being drafted. If you're not drafted, you're not eligible. I would do the same thing with the combine. Nobody got hurt by all these kids putting their name in. Where people get hurt, kids especially, and then therefore programs, is when kids keep their name in and there's 60 draft slots.
Yeah.
You're all not getting drafted. So be honest, I'm running from school. Those would be mine. I would wholeheartedly support going back into the high schools in June.
Okay.
And I would mess with the draft situation. High school, college players eligible to be drafted, just eligible to be drafted. They would be my.
If Phil ruled the world.
If I ruled the world, but I want to. It's in the past weeks I've had the opportunity to be at the Atlantic 10 meetings with the other coaches and the other athletic directors, and we had 2 athletic directors. Don and Jill were sitting beside me, and when people were asking me NCAA questions, I finally turned to Jill and said, Jill, you know what, like, I do coach my team. I do recruit my team.
Right.
I am passionate, though, about, and you had said something earlier, Matt, about the fix fix the game or clean up the game. I actually believe we're creating a new game. I think the commission's charge to everybody involved in the game, all the stakeholders, was change the game, make it a new game.
Okay.
Make it a new game, and I think that's coming. And I do go to Indianapolis every other week, but I get in and out, and as long as I have my phone and I can text,
that's all you need to do.
As long as I can text, and I have my only for a couple more weeks, Claire. You know, I would want to end this that way.
Okay.
Matt.
Yeah.
Like Don DeJulia has done an awful lot for a lot of people that are going to watch this. You know, whether he's taking your call about your niece or your nephew or where your son or daughter could live, whether he slid you an extra ticket, whether he listened to you the night that you bought pizza and it was cold, and he did, and it's all of us, or where you parked. He's also been at your parents' funerals and viewings and weddings, and it's amazing what one man did by doing this. Every day that Don DeJulia woke up in his 50 years, he loved St. Joseph's University. And if all of us could for one day, only for one day, love St. Joseph's the way Don did for 50 years, I think we could make this an even better place. And then the other thing is, Claire Ariano will be walking out that door for the last time on June 15th. I've had challenges while I've been here. Replace Jameer, our recent graduate Jameer. Replace Rob Sullivan, that was a challenge. This is my most difficult task because it worked beyond my wildest imagination. And I don't like Claire. I love Claire, and we'll find her replacement. They will be in place when she walks in June 15th. But I know June 16th it won't be the same. So I appreciate all she's done, and she has met the greatest challenge that we are all issued, and that is when put in any type of situation, classroom, family, church, Hawk Hill, Hardwood, whatever situation we're put in, we're charged with making it better. Claire's made St. Joseph's basketball better by her personality and her presence. So I thank her, and I thank you for all you've done for the program. And I'm going to be insistent, Matt, this can't be once a year.
Okay.
We have to do it more.
All right, I'll be here. All right, well, that's a perfect way to end. That's Phil Martelli. I'm Matt Gifford. Thank you so much for watching. And as Phil said, we'll do it again soon. Thanks.